What's up, everybody? It's time to make fun of crappy films. How's it going, everyone? I'm Vincent, host of Silver Screen Stand-Ups. And with me this time, we got comedians Stacey, Fleurime, and Mike Sasson. Guys, thanks for being on the show this time.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. No. So, this is the third episode of Silver Screen Stand-Ups, and each time I'm surprised that when I get the comedians together, we surprisingly have a good time watching these horrible films, because there's plenty of films like, famously, The Room. The Room is one of those famous horrible films, but it's bad fun,
I always have a great time watching horrible films, actually. I really enjoy it.
I would rather watch horrible movies than an average movie. If you're going to watch a movie, you want it to be great or you want it to be horrific. Like I've always said, the worst thing to be would be an average comedian. Because, like, if you sit there and be like, hey, an average comedian is playing at this club, you're like, I don't really care. Be like, hey, a great comedian's like, oh, I'll go out. But the better than an average comedian's like the worst comedian in the world is playing across town. You're like, we've got to go to watch the worst comedian in the world. And this movie that we saw is in that category. It's you picked a doozy, Vincent.
Oh yeah, I did. So every month I try to pick a movie that is somewhat in the same genre of whatever's coming out that week. First episode we did Spider-Man 3 because Venom had just come out. The next month we did Cirque du Freak, the Vampire Assistant, which was trying to be a Harry Potter competitor. We did that because Fantastic Beasts has come out this week. This week, on Friday, we have the new young adult dystopian movie Mortal Engines coming out, which is Peter Jackson, the man behind Lord of the Rings, behind this one. So I thought, well, there's been plenty of young adult dystopian films, and one that really caught my eye as I was going through it was The Host. This movie stars Scottish actress Saoirse Ronan.
She was Scottish?
She's Scottish in real life.
That always weirds me out.
Yeah.
Like you sit there and you watch like an actor or an actress and they make it. Why did the character have to be an American? Like in no way did she could have had her Scottish accent. What was the point of having her making her? Oh, we wouldn't have liked it if she would have just had a Scottish brogue the whole time. It would have made it actually somewhat more interesting if whatever. But like when you watch I remember watching The Wire and then I found out like, oh my God, that guy's British. That's amazing. And now I want him to be James Bond. So that'd be pretty cool, but I don't understand why she couldn't have been Scottish.
I don't know.
That's my first problem. Now I have a better first problem with the movie. They just didn't let the person be Scottish, and I bet you all the hot dudes were Australian.
Actually, I bet. Let me look at the IMDb page. Let's
figure that out.
Because I think one or two of them is like Australian or something.
I'm telling you, they had that Australian look about them.
Yeah, hold on.
I agree.
Yeah, there's just sometimes I have that look of like, they're like hillbilly Canadians. That's what Australian is.
Let me look these guys up. Wait, hold on. Let's see. Jake Abel. No, he's from Canton, Ohio.
Okay.
What about the other guy? Could have.
They all look the same. If you would have just been like,
I was confused.
Yeah.
For the first part.
Like
the one I looked up first was the guy who choked her in the movie. We're gonna get.
We're gonna get.
We haven't gotten to the plot yet.
The fact that these people came from the planet, Weinstein. This is awful.
But yeah, so this movie's holy crap. And speaking of Saoirse Ronan, who's the star of this, thank God this movie didn't kill her career because she's still a very young actress because she's been killing it in the Oscars the past several years. She was in Brooklyn, where she got nominated for an Oscar there. She was in Lady Bird this past year. She got nominated for...
Okay,
yeah, her. Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Was she Scottish in these movies?
No, one she was, actually. She was, yeah.
Thank God, eventually let her be Scottish.
Yeah. Oh, man. Jesus. Anyway.
Scottish in Scotland.
Yeah.
They'll do their movie.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. The Scottish film industry.
Oh, wait. Hold up.
Never made this movie.
Hold the fuck up. Okay, no. I'm wrong. I'm such a fucking idiot. I guess I thought she was Scottish because of that one movie, but according to this, she's from New York.
What?
That's how good an actress she was. She fooled you with her Scottish accent. You thought that was the real accent. It turns out her American accent is the real accent. You know what? Take away that. Now, there's other aspects of this movie that are pure shit.
Oh, but she has Irish parents. She has Irish parents, so I'm only... I'm not as horribly wrong.
What does that even mean?
I don't even... I'm part Irish.
So am I. I'm drunk as hell.
But anyway, so let's get to kind of the plot of the movie. So, Stacey.
Yeah.
I did this our first episode. I want to try to describe this film in 5 words or less.
Ooh, 5 words.
Yeah, you don't have to go full 5. But
Okay.
This is how dumb I am. If you ask me this question, I'm going to my fingers.
Yes, I am. I'm actually doing that, but I'm doing that.
Do you want the first? Do you want the first word to be okay?
Yeah, I was trying to hide it. Let me see.
Wow. I didn't realize it was going to be this challenging.
Okay. Tragic love trumps all. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
Because it was tragic, but then love won out in the end, it seemed.
It's this. Well, love did win, but not the love that we wanted to win.
Not the love of good. Not the love of good fit in
Maybe
films.
strange love
No.
trumps all. I
No.
don't know.
This is the love of idiots and horny young men. This is. But yeah, so the basic plot of the movie, ladies and gentlemen, for all
Can I
you
do my 5?
you could do a 5. Yeah, sure.
How did this get funding?
It got funding because of Stephanie Meyer. As I told you guys earlier, for those of you who know, The Host is a movie based on a book written by Stephanie Meyer. If you don't remember Stephanie Meyer, she wrote Twilight. So because Twilight made a fuck ton of money.
Is this after Twilight?
Yeah.
This is after Twilight. I think maybe the last Twilight movie hadn't come out yet, and they were just trying to keep it rolling with Stephanie Meyer's popularity, which I haven't heard anything from her in several years.
Yeah.
So
Thank God.
Yeah.
Probably stopped after The Host.
Yeah. So
She's just
She
probably
got
just
the momentum with Twilight and lost it.
and then just now swims in a big giant swimming pool filled with cash
cash and young pool boys. So she just hires many pool boys
that are extremely pale. That sparkle and have stupid lines and have dim views of their world.
Do you know how she came up with Twilight?
Drunkenness, a heroin addict. What was it?
Well, that probably added to it. She had a dream about a glowing young man, and from that she came up with the whole Twilight thing. And I feel like with this she had the same dream, except there was just 2 men on either end of her. I feel like
Actually, she probably there must have been another guy in the Twilight dream too, because she's really into the love triangles.
Yeah.
Something in Twilight too with the werewolf guy.
It was a triangle between two guys and one girl, but 2 things living inside the girl's mind.
Yeah. To explain the plot real quick for anybody who hasn't seen the movie, which if you haven't, congratulations.
Yeah, you win.
Yeah.
You lost.
It's basically invasion of the body snatchers, except the body snatchers just are idiots, and they body snatched the wrong young girl because the true love and love of family and her horny boyfriend that she met when he put a knife to her neck overcomes aliens. I know that sounds like weird and convoluted, but everything I said happens in the movie.
It's the attempt of someone who's not entirely bright, trying to make a societal a study, because the whole point being, that's how I saw it, in that the fact that you could say that we're all in conformity and we all are trying to make it perfect. And then this one person is kind of like, it's almost like how in the Matrix you take the red pill or the blue pill. Yeah. You live in the Matrix and you live in this kind of, daze and you don't understand it's not real. And then these aliens are the version of the red or the blue pill. And so this girl is trying to fight, should I live in this peaceful, perfect world that is not real, or should I actually stay human and fight it? Because that's the only other thing, is the question you ask through the whole thing is, what would you do? Because most people would say, no, I would fight and be part of the resistance, when in reality, we all take pictures on Instagram of the food we're eating in order to prove that we're better than people. So we totally would just let the aliens run our lives and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
I probably would do something similar to what the main character was trying to do, because she tried to kill herself a few times.
Oh yeah, of course.
I was disappointed each time she didn't succeed.
That would only made the movie like a half hour long. That'd have been cool if she just would have offed herself in 15 minutes. But that's the funny thing. So we could even say as artists that we are those people trying to fight conformity, and the people out there in their their tin boxes trying to live in that little world of I'm not gonna ruffle any feathers and all that other kind of stuff. Which is again, it's a stupid notion in a stupid movie. But again, we're trying to look deep into a movie that is not very deep. But I think that's what she was trying to say. It's like when you read a term paper from a not bright college student, and they're trying to tell you how Two and a Half Men is actually dealing with a lot of societal issues. And you're like, no, it's not. But you needed to watch something and write something for your communication science class.
Yeah.
And I think that's how this movie happened.
Yeah. It tries to act like it's the deeper meaning of humanity and all that stuff, because these aliens, they established in the movie that we're like the 12th or 13th planet they've conquered, but they're like nice conquerors. They do it because they think it's the best thing. They're like,
they make the world more perfect.
Yeah.
Like they talk about at the beginning, there's no more pollution,
right.
There's no more violence, there's no more, apparently the only car you can drive is silver.
Yeah.
Everything is now perfect, and that's why they say that they, in their own minds, it comes down to this point of like, it comes back to like I remember one time that I was watching this, a Facebook video, and they interviewed this CIA operative. And the CIA operative was talking about that she interviewed like members of Al Qaeda and members of ISIS. And she goes, the one thing I learned from talking to these people is they think they're the good guys. And I sat there and I went like, very few people are pure evil. Most people think they're doing something that either is justified or is good.
Everyone's the hero of their own story.
Everyone's the hero in their own movie.
Yeah.
And so, you could do awful. And so these aliens are sitting there going, look at what we did to this beautiful planet. We stopped all the wars. We stopped all the pollution. Everyone's living in a better utopian society. And this person, which again almost goes back to, and I'm making this deeper than it is, like a fascist government. Like if you talk to Stalin why he killed all those people, he just sat there and goes, well, just because one person's freedom is trying to stop this whole beautiful society I'm trying to create, when in reality it's about power and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah. But again, that's the whole point of why they believe they're the good people. And other movies like The Matrix and stuff like that have done a better job in trying to like delve into that question. This movie did not at all, because of its horrible acting and the amount of sexual assault. And just the incredible stupidity of these aliens, these are the dumbest aliens to have ever, because they said, we perfected everything, but yet their phones look like they got them from Cricket Wireless. They're all in the same terrible suits. They all have cars that like sound like a kid from freaking Munhall souped it up like from a freaking Camaro. I mean, it's so many stupid things that just kind of distract you. And the fact that William Hurt's in this movie, who's like a legitimate like Oscar-nominated, Oscar-winning actor, and I'm just sitting there going, he must have just gotten divorced. That's the only reason I could possibly understand why he made this movie.
They're still using the same faulty human devices, even though for like aliens that are traveling from planet to planet and invading creatures' bodies, you'd think they'd have better technology.
They're riding in like helicopters that look like they're from like, Starsky and Hutch. I mean, it's all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about they do have some. We see in the movie they do have some advanced technology. For instance, like medical technology is just an aerosol spray right now.
That's how you get rid of
good medical technology.
And they have like the little like chrome clamshells that they transport, because like the aliens in their true form are you call them like a magical looking jellyfish. Magical. They're just these little things, which like begs the question, like how these little things take over humanity. And like I said, I looked online. Apparently in the book they have control of a race of giant spiders or something, and they use the spiders to conquer the planet and get inside the species.
They should have included that in the movie.
I think the thing is I could just see a Hollywood executive, like they'll go over the book and they'll be like, okay, here's the deal. We don't have to tell them how they did it. We just have to show that they did it, because we want to get to the beautiful woman and the hot dudes as soon as humanly possible.
They can't make spiders sexy. They can't do that.
So they're just sitting there going, they took over everything. How'd they do it? No one knows. Just do it. Because they showed up and then all of a sudden they're these. You're right. They're they're like Tinkerbell's farts who like kind of go through the world, and then all of a sudden they somehow take over every human being, and the only way you could get them in there is by surgery. How did they do that to like 5 billion, 8 billion people? And they had to have 8 billion surgeries, and all of them had to sit there and let them do it. No one explains how that could have possibly happened. It just did.
Everything is just so poorly. I don't want to say poorly thought out. It's just not thought out, because here's the thing: if you're going to tackle a science fiction of this nature where it's two warring species, you really have to make us understand what this other species is about, how their technology works, what their belief systems
How they won the war.
Yeah, you gotta really explain shit. Like,
their bodies are so fragile looking. It doesn't seem like they could survive outside.
And that's the thing. It would make sense if they could just go through a nostril or go through an ear.
Yeah.
No, they physically make them inject them into the human being, and it's a surgery. Like there's a scalpel involved.
Yeah, they should have kept it kept it really ingenious. Like the aliens, like one alien landed and it
got into our water supply.
Exactly what I was about to say. Water system, and then they drink it slowly. It's like because Invasion of the Body Snatchers, they did it stealthy, man. They didn't just all come out and just be like, everything's going to be just fine. Trust us. Now let me cut your neck. It didn't go down like that. They went. If you're gonna, it's like even that fucking movie from like the late '90s with Elijah Wood and Josh Hartnett, The Faculty. You guys remember The Faculty?
I remember briefly.
Yeah. Same premise. Aliens take over, except they start in a little town, and the only people that can save them is this shitty grouping of the Breakfast Club high schoolers, and they beat the aliens because they find out the aliens.
Jon Stewart was in the movie.
Yeah, he was. He was
one of the teachers.
Yeah. And
I think Katie Holmes was in it. Wasn't she in it?
Yeah. No, they had a lot of the young starlets of the time in that movie, and I remember the weakness for the aliens was like Josh Hartnett's character. He sells heroin or something at the school, that's what he does, and they find out that the aliens are severely allergic to the heroin, so they just heroin the shit out of everybody who's infected.
So these aliens were from Johnstown. I mean, fentanyl got them. I mean, what the... horrible. But it is a tired premise.
Oh yeah, no.
It's the whole point of the aliens take over the human form, and then you have to fight it and all this other kind of stuff. And again, it's the same premise of trying to say, okay, we're all searching for perfection and kind of fascism and and conformity and all that other kind of good stuff. But the problem is just like I said before, other movies have done this better.
Yes.
And this movie made no sense. And in the movie, the female lead in the movie kind of has an internal dialogue the whole time of the soul that is trying to capture the body is fighting her, so they're arguing with each other. So it's like that Lily Tomlin, Steve Martin movie, All of Me, but not at all fun. Yeah, I've seen some movies, Vincent. Anyway, so it really is they're fighting each other and stuff like that. And also she's wet constantly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, that has to be done, especially in any romantic movie. They always have to make out in the rain.
Yeah. That's how they end the movie.
In the middle of the desert at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that was supposed to be
just in time for the kiss.
Exactly. I can't tell if that was symbolically they're getting wet sexually, or it's the rain is bringing refreshment to the desert, or I'm trying to figure out the fucking symbolism in this fucking. I don't even know why I attempted to.
But
it's
that's one of the things about you've ever heard of bad artists who will try to create something deeper in their art when it's not there. It's I remember one time I was reading I'm a reader of horrible things. The behind the scenes of the Brady Bunch. Oh. And when that show came on, Sherwood Schwartz, who was the producer of the show, sold this as a groundbreaking because it was this wife and this husband. The wife was dead, and they were coming together and remarrying, and it was this unbelievable and the way he described it, this was a groundbreaking sitcom. But if you've ever seen the Brady Bunch, they went past that in the first 10 minutes of the first episode, and then it just became about a big family doing stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But to him, the way he would explain it, he was doing groundbreaking 1969 Woodstock level,
Sounds like a hell of a salesman.
Yeah. In terms of sometimes art, you do have to kind of explain that, no, that's the symbolism of the wetness of the cleansing of the human race and everything, when in reality it was, we got to get these kids wet.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people, going back to Twilight real quick, a lot of people accuse Twilight of, the two main characters, was it Bella and Edward, I think. That
you could have gave me any names and I would have said yes.
Well, I know them. I can confirm.
Dion and Barbara.
Yes,
there you go.
Steve and Jackie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That their relationship was extremely abusive, had a very abusive nature to it.
Oh, yeah. It was really strange. I actually had read well, I actually had seen 2 of the movies actually back in the day, and so something that happens in the beginning is Edward is just regularly stalking Bella, and he just watches her sleep and all of that. And one time there's even this like heroic moment where he saves her from these guys that are probably trying to gang rape her, but then he saved her because he was stalking her, and it's like really a really strange dynamic.
Oh yeah, isn't there a scene where like she wakes up like in the middle of the night in her bedroom and he's just there watching her sleep?
Yeah, I think there are a few of those
so
scenes.
much weird sexual assault in like any
it continues into the host.
Yeah,
but like I had a bit about this, and when I did it, no one seemed to like it much because it made people so uncomfortable. Like
I think it makes them think about their own relationships. They're like, I wasn't assaulted.
Well, the joke I had was I was watching Back to the Future. And in Back to the Future, Marty McFly, Lorraine McFly gets sexually assaulted by Biff, and then Marty comes in and punches, Biff, and then all is well. But then you fast forward 30 years when like, oh, everything's good now. But who's in the driveway? The guy who sexually assaulted your mom from 30 years earlier, and the mom is just supposed to like walk by the guy and be like, oh, we were just teenagers at the time. And when I said this kind of stuff, everyone's like, oh my God, you're right. This is horrible. What is going on?
Yeah, I've heard
and
this
it
joke.
just really came to the point of just like, there's just so much like almost like every movie, there's just so much like awful stuff that teaches people how not to communicate and how be in a relationship with another human being.
Yeah, I think like something that might make people feel uncomfortable about those jokes is that like when we watch like these movies, it's supposed to like make us kind of like fantasize about being in these characters' places.
Right.
It looks all like
escapism,
dreamy and romantic and great, but it's like realistically it's creepy, but like we want to fantasize about these creepy situations.
Yeah.
Like watching this movie, I did feel like, oh my God, if teenagers were watching this movie, you do get to a point to where like you go like, this is not how you should act. This is not how you should communicate.
No.
This is not how you should be
no.
with someone, all this other kind of stuff. And it just was a terrible example of it. And the fact that this somehow, some way, someone believes that this will connect. The fact that the movie didn't do well makes me feel good.
Yeah.
The fact that people saw this and went, no, this is wrong and I don't like this.
Yeah, because let's go over like the evolution of the love triangle. So Melanie, before she gets taken, was that the name? Melanie?
Yeah, Melanie was the main character.
And the alien was called the Wanderer, but later like, that name's too long. Let's just call you
Wanda.
Yeah.
Even though Wanda and Wanderer is not that's not different.
Exactly. Like I get the point they're trying to humanize the alien a little bit more, but it's just call it like Wendy or something. Like just I don't know. That's I'm trying to improve this.
See how tough it is to write a screenplay?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But anyways, so in a flashback we see Melanie is like, I think she's stealing food from like a house or something, and then the I can't remember the name. We'll call him abusive love interest number 1.
Yeah.
Abusive love interest number 1 attacks her, puts a knife to her throat. It's like, don't you fucking scream or anything, blah, 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 blah. And then he flips her around and he sees like her eyes aren't alienized.
Yeah.
And he's like, I haven't seen another human in 2 years. And then he just fucking kisses her. She slaps him accordingly.
Yeah. Runs away.
And then he tackles her.
He tackles her, and then
like, I wasn't done.
Then they fall in love. Then they fall in love.
They fall in love, and there's these scenes of them like dancing in a field and shit, and like there's a boombox and stuff. Yeah. And then
again more rain, again more sex in the rain.
Right. And then we fast forward to present where like the alien and her like the alien's in her body, and like they're kind of like fighting for control, and they've made it back to like this human secret outpost, right? Yeah. And abusive love interest number 1 sees her, and he thinks, oh, alien, and he just backhands the shit out of her because he's like, you took over my love's body. And then later some of the people at the outpost try to kill her, despite the fact that her uncle, who should have killed her in the beginning, but I get it, a movie needs to happen, and he like stops them. One of the people that tries to kill her tries to choke her to death. And then later, for no real reason, he falls in love with the alien.
Yeah, like, that was really abrupt. I didn't get where that switch happened.
Another guy falls in love with the alien, and so then Melanie, who's inside the body, is upset by the fact that the guy is going to have a relationship with the alien, And so Melanie then leaves and don't talk to each other. And the only way that comes back is to get them upset by making out with the person that they don't like.
Yeah.
And then the voice comes back. Yeah.
It's just,
That's all, yeah. That's all you can say.
It's just tons and tons of excuses for Stephanie Myers to write out her sexual fantasies. Which we've all got them. I've got plenty, but I don't put them in a fucking movie, especially if apparently her sexual fantasy is a threesome with two guys.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. She's really into that idea.
Yeah. And the way both relationships start, like, I get we're in a universe where Earth has been taken over. Every remaining human is on edge as shit.
Apparently there's like 8 humans left in the world.
Yeah, 8 humans, and they're just, how are they trying to save humanity? Wheat field.
Wheat in a cave.
Yeah, this is like shitty Field of Dreams. Like, any second now, Shoeless Joe Jackson's going to come out of the wheat. It's like, are you guys going to actually fight the aliens? Like, what the fuck?
Which I don't know what they're going to do with all this wheat. Yeah. I mean, they're just going to have a bunch of wheat. I don't know what's going on there.
Yeah, I don't know. They're going to like, we're going to make peace with the aliens. We're literally going to break bread. Yeah. We just need a lot of bread and just fuck. It's like what is it, Wonder Bread? I don't fucking know. It's like just getting really dumb and that's the thing about that. Going back to a relationship, both those relationships start with the dude trying to or causing injury to her neck.
Yeah.
So once again, I think we're getting into Stephanie Meyer's psyche here. She probably likes a little choking. Yeah. Once again, if that's your thing, that's cool. I got no problem with that.
Especially with Twilight. Like, one of the things I remember is that Edward told Bella at one point that he was really dangerous and could really hurt her badly. And then she was into that, I guess. Yeah. I think, right. Yeah.
Because the reason why...
This woman and Mel Gibson should do a movie. Because then Mel Gibson was like, wait, you can beat me. I'm like, oh, then I can beat someone else. Oh, we can just be a giant, just torture porn. That's what it'll be called. It's like, make Mel Gibson win older. The passion of the passion of the alien. Yeah.
2 literal star-crossed lovers beat the fuck out of each other. A love story we've been waiting for.
Yeah. This was one of those movies that I literally was just like, if it ended right now, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
I was just, every 5-10 minutes, there was a point where I'm like, the movie could end right now, I'd be fine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what happens after this. Fine, if that's how it ends, great. That's all of it. The highlight was the pizza that Vincent got us. That was the highlight of the night. We appreciate that. But, like, it really was... It was just, it's so, you could tell that it was made. That's one thing. Anytime I see something or hear something that I don't necessarily like, I always kind of say, okay, maybe this just isn't meant for me. Obviously this is not a movie in which they said, okay, we want a 40-something-year-old dude to watch this. It's not for me. But the fact that there are people that they thought this would appeal to makes me mad.
Yeah. It's one of those things where they're trying to keep that young, sexy teenagers saving the world from some giant threat.
Oh yeah, that's always a
train
trope.
going.
Everyone saving the dystopian future world is always a hot teenager.
Yeah.
Or a group of hot teenagers.
Yeah, because you got the Hunger Games was the biggest success in that genre. You've got the Maze Runner. You've got Divergent.
Divergent.
Now, I'll be honest. I never saw Hunger Games.
Okay.
How different is Hunger Games from one of the greatest movies of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger in The Running Man?
Ooh, I mean, a lot less Jesse Ventura. I'll say that much.
Well, then obviously one for The Running Man.
Yeah, right there.
Jesse Ventura's in it. Jim Brown, I think, is in the other one. I mean, it's Arnold Schwarzenegger fighting Richard Dawson, the original host of Family Feud.
That's right, he does.
So, okay, that's
down a hamster ball of death.
That's 3 for freaking Running Man. It's just like the what's the one that won Best Picture last year, which was just a more high class splash.
The
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. I saw that one.
But I mean, isn't it just a high class splash? Like someone
It really is, except like the fish person stays fully fishy the whole time.
Yeah.
Which makes the sex scenes a little awkward.
Yeah.
They bang.
But it really comes down to this whole point of just like every movie was essentially made in the 80s. Yeah. And they're just essentially making new ones. So again, like Hunger Games, when I saw the whole point, it's like there's this game to where and I'm just like, this is Running Man. They just replaced Arnold Schwarzenegger with Jennifer Lawrence. That's all this movie is. So then I just watched Running Man again on TNT.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've never seen The Running Man.
No, I've never seen it.
Okay, in the movie.
I haven't seen a whole lot of movies,
Okay,
actually.
in the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays.
Let's talk about a better film.
Yeah, a wrongly accused convict who gets into this game show to where supposedly in this dystopian future where everything is destroyed, the only thing that they have are weird like reality TV shows, and Arnold Schwarzenegger has to go through these things again, sounding a lot like Hunger Games, to eventually get there. But then he tears down the entire like fascist society and all this other kind of stuff again, which sounds a lot like The Host with the fascist society. Again, coming back to, I like Arnold Schwarzenegger movies.
I'm a 80s and 90s kid, so it's hard for me to say I don't love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I grew up on some of them. I remember when I was really, really young, early first grade or something, and Terminator 2 was up for a couple some award show. Terminator 2 was nominated for special effects or something like that. Yeah. And even though it wasn't Arnold was nominated for something, when it didn't win, I was pissed as hell. Yeah. Little me was angry. It's I think my mom had to calm me down. Yeah. I was even starting to cry. Terminator should have won. Robot Schwarzenegger. And I was just because it destroyed me. It's I don't even know what it was up against. All I remember is that Terminator didn't win. It upset me.
That's when you know you're young, is that you take certain things that really don't matter. You learn later in life it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, Arnold Schwarzenegger winning a People's Choice Awards doesn't really matter. But when you're 4 or 5 years old, that's a huge, huge deal that a millionaire won an award that he probably would have lost on the way back to his house.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Before we continue, guys, we're here on the River's Edge Network, and we got plenty of great shows on here. Mike Sasson, you have your own show, The Mike Sasson Show.
I do, The Mike Sasson Show, which you can listen to every Tuesday, 9 a.m. on the River's Edge. It's me. It's my super producer, Alex Clemens, and it is essentially a show to where me and her talk about just our lives, about weird stuff. If you really want to describe it, it's a morning show that we record at 10 p.m. on Monday. But again, we swear, we can say cool stuff, and I think it's a great show. If you just like to laugh, if you like to have fun, it's a fun show. It's the Mike Sasson Show. You can watch us, like us on Facebook, the Mike Sasson Show page. I have Instagram, Mike Sasson on Instagram. If you are listening right now, comedy-wise, this Friday, I'm at a comedy show here in Pittsburgh. I will be posting on my Facebook. And if you're in the Somerset area, because I know you've got a huge following in Somerset.
Oh, they love me over there. They can't get enough.
Can't get you enough of you. I'm actually in Somerset this Saturday with Chuck Krieger. So get your tickets now because they're going fast.
Yeah.
They're not. But go.
Stacey, do you got any gigs or shows coming up? Anything comedy or improv, anything like that?
Actually, yes. Well, I have improv shows coming up. I have 2 or 3 improv shows a month, pretty much. I am on an improv team called 8-Bit, and we have a show the first Friday night of every month, and then we do...
And where is the show?
Oh, yes. It's at Arcade Comedy Theater.
Oh, yeah. Arcade Comedy Theater. That's downtown, guys. Look it up. They got great shows there all the time.
More info. Okay, it's called A Slice of Comedy. It's with me, Joey Purse, Tim Ross, Harry Gilliland, Andres O'Rourke, Trey McDonough, hosted by Joey Welsh. It's this Friday, December 14th, 8 p.m. at Bella Notte, 1914 Penn Avenue. $10 at the door. Possibly... freaking Macaulay Culkin's going to be there. I don't know. And then this Saturday at Sullivan's Bar and Restaurant, 1239 Glade Pike Road, Somerset, Pennsylvania. It's Joey Welsh, me, Chuck Krieger, $20 a person, but that includes a buffet dinner. So comedy, a buffet dinner, Somerset, Pennsylvania. It is literally illegal to have more fun in Somerset, Pennsylvania than you'll have this Saturday night there at the Sullivan's Bar and Grill.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got Mike Sasson shows coming up. We got Stacey and 8-Bit and her improv team at Arcade Comedy. And also, do you guys like pro wrestling? Sure, we all do. Join the Wrestling Mayhem Show, celebrating pro wrestling since 2006 with interviews with the stars of the Pittsburgh independent scene, talk about the latest news, and more. Find all of the mayhem at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. All right, we got all the plugs out of the way. Now going back to talking about the movie that caused us so much pain.
I did not. I'll be honest. It wasn't bad because we were pulling a Mystery Science Theater 2000 and ripping it to shreds.
Oh, we were having we weren't having fun because of the movie. We were having fun because we're making fun of the movie, and that was a good time.
Yeah, it was a horrible experience because one of the things I talked about is the fact that I didn't know whether we were supposed to keep our comments until the show, because I thought like, oh, I can't really say anything because I don't want to ruin the good lines now. But then I think you said something, and they're like, oh, if the host says we can say things, then we just started to rip the hell out of it.
Yeah, eventually I will be like, I've tried to make a few recordings of the past shows of me and the other comedians watching it, but I've been having some editing issues where the sound quality is bad, and I don't want to put it out. But in the future, ladies and gentlemen, hey, keep watching the show as this program grows. I will eventually be putting out videos, not the whole like 2 hour long thing of us, but like the best clips of me and the comedians ripping the movie apart. Because honestly, even the past 2 episodes, like me and the other guys with Krish and Derek and Eric and Zach, the past few episodes, we just have fun making fun of the movies as it's going on. It's a good time. That's one of the reasons why I've been enjoying doing this show, because once again, we're watching bad movies, but we're having a hell of a time watching them. It's just a good fucking time.
Yeah, it was just the movie itself. A couple other things we noticed about it. Number one, apparently in this cave that they all lived in, they had like 47 trucks. They had like essentially a giant like U-Haul dealership in there because they kept on getting more trucks fully gassed.
Yeah.
So apparently they didn't have any problem with diesel. So again, the whole Mad Max dystopian future apparently didn't happen. The place where they all went to get their supplies was just called Store.
Oh my God, that was the best part.
Yeah, that was the funny part.
That was the best part of the host mythos. It's just this big, it's like, it's Walmart without all the trimmings. It just says store in big, bold, black letters. Just the very sight of it. It really seems like a fucking parody. Just that moment, it was like, there's gotta be, Stephanie Meyer must be fucking with us or something.
Well, that's one thing that I always ask about, like when you sit there and they talk about we've perfected everything. Like that was the point of the aliens. They said when they showed up, they didn't change everything. They just perfected it.
All our grocery store names are too long.
Yeah, we have too much choice.
Yeah,
we have too many things. Yeah, just keep it short. Where do we go to the hospital? Just the hospital. Where do we go to eat? We go to the restaurant.
Yeah, and they
I actually have a friend whose family has a restaurant called The Restaurant. Yeah.
What do they serve?
They just serve like regular breakfast and lunch foods.
That'd be honestly what they should be.
You open up the menu, it just says food. Just says, I'll take food. I'll take 3 foods.
What do you want to drink? Drink. Yeah. What do you want for dessert? Something sweet. There you go.
And I really, because there's that part of the movie where like later they have to go back because they need supplies, but like the humans have been spotted, so they send Wanda in because the aliens are like, oh, she's one of us. She goes in the store, and I guess they really have perfected everything, except like they make it seem like humanity is healthier, but they still have soda pop. Like when she goes back to the store, there was like, it was like a variety. I saw it was like there was like a green one, a red one, and a purple one. I was just like, you perfected soda now, or is it sugar?
They made it healthy.
Yeah, they made like that's the only part of the universe I'd be like, we can take that into our real world.
And then one of the other thing was, again, they perfected life, but somehow when they went to the hospital, which all they do is just spray this spray on you, so why go to medical training? But the other thing was the fact that she cuts herself with a knife, and like her big lie to the doctor, quote unquote, was, oh yeah, I slipped with a knife, and the doctor's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, why would anybody in this perfect society slip with a knife?
Yeah.
Like,
actually, sometimes I worry about like crazy shit happening to me, and that's like been like one of my like weird worries sometimes. Like if I'm carrying a big knife, I'm like, oh, I hope I don't slip and like slash myself. It's never happened though.
Well, Stacey, you're not perfect. You're not perfect. I'm sorry, but
yeah, these people live in a perfect society in which they have perfect suits, in which they sleep in silver nightgowns, and sit there in all they were. And then they interrogate her for like the first couple weeks of like taking her over.
Oh yeah, they do a poor job of like transitioning it, but like once like Wanderer takes over her body, yeah, they interrogate one of their own in this like it's like a nice interrogation room, but it's still a fucking interrogation. It's like why can't you guys just talk about this on the couch while you're watching perfect ABC or perfect HBO? I don't know, just like.
And then they steal a car from some old guy, and it was like it reminded me of the movie that was really good. I don't know if you saw this. Ricky Gervais did the invention of lying.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
I love that movie because the plot is that because like there's no actors because there's no lying, and there's no religion because there's no lying. So again, this guy becomes basically God because he's the only person that can lie.
Right.
And so again, the reason why Wanda has this amazing power is because she's got Melanie in her, so she has the ability to lie. So she steals a car by literally just going up to a guy in a car going, I need your car. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, because their species don't lie to each other ever. Because they're...
Again, they've perfected it, and we don't need to lie or something.
We don't need to lie. If you say, what would have been really awesome if somebody needed an organ transplant. She just walked up to somebody, he's like, "Can I have your liver?" Okay, just like he goes like seppuku on himself, just like.
Well, that's the other thing that was weird about the movie was again they're chasing after all of the humans. Now, here's the thing: 99% of the humans they've gotten, and eventually they go into this big chase and they're shooting guns, and it's not working real well. But then eventually, like one of the lead searchers, one of the people picks up a gun and accidentally shoots one of the other searchers, and then one of the other guys sits there and goes, "Why are we doing this? Yeah. We can just leave them alone. They'll die out. It's no big deal. Let them be." And I'm like, it took them this long to figure out that all they have to do is just keep them in the desert, and eventually they'll just die off and they'll win anyway. But no, that moment, they had that moment of clarity, even though they're supposed to be perfect aliens from a perfect world and creating a perfect situation. None of them ever figured out that, okay, they're contained in this cave in the desert. Yeah. Just let them die and we'll win, instead of shooting each other and creating these kind of Gestapo tactics.
Yeah, because they have the one character who's she's like the lead seeker, the alien that's tracking them down. Yeah. And they're trying to make it kind of like she's the Wanderer's opposite, where the Wanderer is giving into the love of humanity, like she's giving into the anger and frustration, I think. It's trying to be it's like type of villain that's they're on a noble quest, but they're letting their obsession get ahead of them. It's but it's you didn't develop it anywhere nearly as properly.
And midway through the movie, you start to realize okay, that's why she's so dedicated. She's having the same dialogue with herself, and this is how she's trying to squelch it by killing off all of the rest of the humans, so that ultimately her own humanity leaves, and kind of goes from there.
Right. So, I don't know. Let's talk briefly about how towards the end of the film, how the love story kind of ends. So the Wanderer shows them how to extract the aliens from the human body without killing the aliens, because she wants to help humanity, but she doesn't want to kill off her own species.
Yeah, and that was a weird choice in how they got the alien out. You have to get it out with love and care.
Yeah.
Because we talked about, these are their oppressors.
Yeah.
These are the people that are searching for them. And the reason why is because ultimately, the fact that you're supposed to be nice to them. That's what ultimately happened. That's why, we've had this issue. You need to be nice to your oppressors.
Yeah. It's I don't care if they're pleasant slavers. They're still fucking slavers.
Yeah, imagine if people getting enslaved were like, hey, how about we give you a hug? And then the slavers are like, oh, that's nice. Let's go now.
Yeah, I didn't know. We don't need slavery anymore. Yeah, it was all good.
Yeah. So she says, okay, and then she's going to tell him to remove her from Melanie so Melanie can get her life back. But she hasn't told him that basically she wants to die. And she makes the doctor promise, when you take me out, just let me die, because apparently the alien's 1,000 years old, because even though she's been to 12 different planets, their space travel technology takes decades. So once again, they're advanced, but they're not advanced. But anyway, but then she wakes up and surprise, Melanie's standing in front of her. She's like, what happened? I thought I was going to be dead.
And she's now a new hot woman.
Yes, she's a totally new hot woman, which means her and abusive love interest number 2, a.k.a. Choki, can now be together because he doesn't have to love her for what she really is. That would have, you just fucking put her in the body of some woman in her like 50s, and she like, her body got fucked up from the aliens, and like he has to love her now. Like, but
Yeah,
no,
I wouldn't be into that.
no.
See, now it comes into like the big question that always everyone asks is, if you had the ability to live forever, would you want to? Because everybody always talks about, oh man, what if you could live for it? But no one ever figures out that, okay, if you lived and never died, then eventually like life would become somewhat meaningless. Everyone that you loved would eventually leave. Your life would cease to be any point to it.
Oh yeah, there was a movie I watched with I watched it with Chris Moen and Zach and Liz Tripoli. We were all hanging out at Zach's place. It was this movie starring Henry Rollins. It was called He Never Dies, and he plays this character. This guy, he's like, at first we don't know, we see he never dies. He like gets shot during the course of the movie. He gets stabbed, and nothing ever kills him. The wounds just heal up, and we start to find out more and more that he's probably been alive for like hundreds and hundreds of years. And his character throughout the whole movie is he's just apathetic, not like in a mean way. It's just everything is dull to him. He always seems tired. Like if he's not going out to like buy food, he's just at his apartment sleeping. And you realize because he's been alive for so long, he's done everything. He's pretty much experienced everything, good and bad. So nothing's new. Everything is dull to him. And Henry Rollins does a great job in the role. And if you haven't seen the movie, once again, it's called He Never Dies. It stars Henry Rollins. They were hoping to turn it into a TV series. It's actually a really cool film. So look it up. It's worth a watch.
Again, I think I just gave more meaning to the film than it really deserved. Because but yeah, the point of being that this being eventually just wants to die because it's just been whatever. But because of love,
yes, love.
Now the being gets to be a hot woman.
Yes, love with a young man that she's 1,000 years older than.
Yes,
and I love. And here's the thing: the movie is. It's innocently arrogant in a way that, once again, these aliens have conquered 12 other worlds. And for some reason, humanity is the one species that they have trouble dealing with. Like all these other species, we don't know what the other ones were like, but I get it. We're the setting of the movie, but it's just like that. Like all these other species, none of them ever gave you guys any trouble. But humanity is the one that's like this love thing and freedom and choice and like these other species didn't have anything close to us. It's like what were you guys taking over? A planet of aardvarks? Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
But it also is the arrogance of the human race figuring that this is our planet. Like at one time, I had a joke where like everyone goes, "Oh, the reason why we have so many hurricanes is because God is punishing the human race for this." Maybe God's mad at the cats. Why do they think it's all about us?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and why is God so focused on humans?
Yeah, there's billions of species. Yeah, there's so many other species in this world. Why is it that we assume? I bet you the dogs assume that they're in charge, and they've got a better story to tell than us. They don't work. They take a crap wherever they want. We feed them. They seem from an outside perspective that they're in charge.
Yeah. And are animals supposed to go to heaven? Is that
Again,
in a classic movie,
dogs
yes,
go to heaven.
Dogs go to heaven, but I'm going to get real sad right now. In actual Christianity, they don't. Yeah, and I saw this one time, like on an.
So they're just empty vessels for.
No,
which is why we're supposed to eat them and consume them and stuff like that.
They don't have souls, but we will consume their mana.
Yeah.
And
they only exist to feed us. That's what the whole point would be.
Yeah, I think it does say that in Genesis.
Phil Collins said that.
Nice. Oh, holy crap! So we're kind of getting towards the end here. So let's. So I picked this movie because it's a bad movie. Is this movie? I think we've already established it, but let's get everyone's opinions. Is this movie bad, or is it good bad? What, Mike? We'll start with you. What would you say?
I'd say I would not bring friends over to watch it again, because again, in order for a movie to be good bad, it has to be so awful. Like, that's the thing about The Room. It was so weirdly bad that you're sitting there going, what human being thought this would be good? But the problem with this movie is the fact that it did have somewhat of a budget because, again, it had the whole, it had the backing of the people that did Twilight. It had legitimate actors in it, people that have eventually gone on to win Oscars or had won Oscars, William Hurt and stuff like that. So it wasn't bad enough to be fun bad. It was just one of those movies to where, like, they're trying to do something that other people had. It's like, remember, again, back in the 80s, they had like a string of movies that like was about body switching, where all of a sudden an old person would become young and a young person would become old. And all of them sucked except for Big. And Tom Hanks did a great job, and he did a great, a whole thing like that. It's the same thing. There's other movies that have done this, like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or ask the question about would you want to live in a perfect world if it meant that basically you weren't aware of what real life is. And that's
like Pleasantville.
Or Pleasantville, or all these kind of stuff. This movie tried to do that same point, but failed miserably. So I would sit there and say it's just bad.
Yeah, I'd actually agree with that. Just because I would say good bad would be more movies to where there are some movies that are so bad it's just uproariously hilarious the whole time to watch them. And this one wasn't really that exciting or funny in the ways that it was bad. It's kind of more of a duller bad, so it's not necessarily that.
It wouldn't be a movie that you'd call your friends over and be like, oh my God, we have to watch this awful movie because it's so bad.
So like let's just stay home, or like let's just pick something. Let's just watch. I don't know. Let's just watch Die Hard again. Die Hard's always a good, fun movie to watch, or something like that. Yeah. I'm of course.
I'm all for watching Die Hard.
Yeah. I'm of course in agreement with you guys. Like it's not like it's not funny bad. It is just bad. It's just. The dialogue is horrible. The characters are idiotic, whether they're human or
too
aliens.
Many common tropes.
Yeah. And just nothing. It acts like there's deeper meaning, but everything's spelled out for you. It's once again Stephanie Meyer trying to recapture the Twilight fame, and it's the studio trying to keep the Twilight flame burning by throwing a little more fuel on the fire. But it's bad sci-fi. Like, take the love story out of it, it's just bad sci-fi. Take the sci-fi out of it, it's a bad love story. It's just like she just didn't know what the fuck she was doing.
I would watch the movie if it was just take out the sci-fi. It's about a woman with multiple personalities who believes that she's cheating, she's cheating on her man with other men, and so basically it's like a love triangle, but with like multiple people. So it's actually 4 people in the whole thing. That's a cool movie. And then again, Body Snatching would be a cool movie if they showed why it happened, and then ultimately it would be maybe a bit more action-oriented in a sense of, okay, they've got to get this serum, or they've got to get this to this person who can ultimately, band the human race together to defeat the aliens or something like that. But again, it's surgery and love apparently is what ultimately saves the human race.
I didn't like the love theme. Like, I don't like it when any theme of anything is about love conquers all. Like, it's just kind of obnoxious. It's overdone.
And then they set up the sequel by the fact that they find other packs of humans in, I don't mean to get up the ending, but eventually they get pulled over, and there's they figure out hey, there's other groups of humans. And so then eventually, I guess if there would have been The Host 2, then they would have said, okay, now how do we do that? And maybe that would have been a little bit more action oriented because we had more of that stuff, but I don't know. I'm just going to go watch Commando again. That's a good movie.
There you go. You said you were going to kill me last. I lied. Boom, right there. Schwarzenegger film.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Weird thing, it's not one of his most famous movies, but it's still a fun Schwarzenegger. It's like...
The way I describe it to anybody who's not a huge Schwarzenegger fan is you have to watch it as a black comedy. You have to watch it as an insanely comedic, it's a parody when it wasn't trying to be a parody.
Right.
It was like, like the 80s movies of like the cartoon level violence of this man that can walk through a sea of bullets and not at all get harmed. And you have to sit there and just be like, this is insane. The amount of testosterone and all that other kind of stuff. That would have been fun for this.
Oh, fuck yeah.
If the guys were all like jack dudes and then like get machine guns and then go destroy the society through machine guns.
Not my planet.
Yeah. If Schwarzenegger and Stallone, if they would have been like what is that movie with Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and they had like 9 of them? The
Expendables.
If they made the Expendables and smashed this into there.
Expendables versus aliens.
Yeah, the Expendables versus aliens, and the answer is not love, but bullets. There. I just rebooted it.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised I didn't see very many shirtless wet guys in this movie, just because that's like a common Stephenie Meyer movie thing. Like in the Twilight movie, like the guys were like often like shirtless and like wet or shining or something. Like I'm just surprised with all the like makeout scenes.
She wanted to be like more creative this time. She didn't want to revisit old themes, But anyway.
Yeah, but the young lady was wet a bunch for like one reason. Like during one of the scenes, like she goes, "I have to go," and then she's wet all of a sudden.
Yeah. Like rain. She usually jumps into water or gets pushed into water 2 or 3 times.
She hides in the water.
Hides in the water. She jumps in the water. She drinks a lot of water. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, anyway, we got to come to the end now. Guys, thanks once again for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys will be on again sometime in the future. But anyway, thank you to everyone who tuned in for this new episode of Silver Screen Stand Us. We'll be back again. We'll be back again next month with a whole new movie, a couple of new comedians coming on, and should be a good time. We'll see you guys all later.
Yay.